Hey everybody, SomeGadgetGuy here. And a couple months ago, I did a video on some of my ergonomic concerns regarding smartwatches. I wanted to follow that up with some of the benefits that I found of wearing a smartwatch. Now, to recap very briefly, what I said in that previous video is that I am still a little concerned about how we disseminate information throughout our sort of waking and daily lives. So the social considerations of being interrupted by texts and notifications, and then also the very, very real concerns that I have when we're interacting with technology while doing things like walking along busy streets or trying to operate motor vehicles. So while I think smartwatches have done a very good job of ushering us into that next step of incorporating technology into our social awareness, I still think we have a ways to go when it comes to some of the more practical concerns and ergonomic concerns regarding technology and awareness while operating things like motor vehicles. But enough about that. I've already complained about that enough on previous videos. I've honestly been pretty surprised by how much I've enjoyed the experience of playing with various smartwatch solutions. As a general trend, I don't necessarily enjoy watches that try to do too much. I understand what Samsung is trying to do with the Gear, and I totally get where throwing every piece of technology into their phones makes sense. It's an everything in the kitchen sink approach to serving up technology to the masses. However, I think that gets in the way of the primary core experience that we should be looking at when it comes to a small screen experience bolted to our wrist. I mean, we really just want to take a look at what is it that a watch actually does. It's got one primary function, which is to serve us a very small piece of information at a glance. Namely the time. You look down, you get the time, you move on with your day. So adding a ton of features and functionality to that interaction, I feel is counterproductive. So if you can serve me that information simply in the moment, at a glance, and I can get on with my day, then I feel you've got a successful product on your hands. And that's why ultimately, out of the box, I still enjoy the Qualcomm Talk experience more than most of the other watches that I've played with. I mean, yeah, the Pebble is definitely more customizable, and the developer community for this thing is amazing, and so you can really tinker and make this exactly the kind of watch experience that you want. But even with the Pebble 2.0 update and the new Pebble store really simplifying that experience, I still find the one core aspect of smartwatches that I enjoy the most is still better on the talk. Namely, serving up exactly the notifications from the apps and services that I use. So on the Pebble, we've got this weird third-party notification, and then you can customize other things too, like if you want one Gmail account or two Gmail accounts, or if you want a Google Voice account or a WhatsApp account. And really, I would just prefer Pebble open that up to anything that can serve a notification on my phone, versus the Talk and the Martian, which both of these watches do exactly that. If you fire up the companion app for either of these watches, you get a setting in your notifications which allows you to customize exactly what apps and services send to the watch. What's proven to be the biggest positive so far for me using a smartwatch has just been this digital awareness. Now, it's really, really subtle, but I do feel like I have a better global sense of what's happening online with my communications gear and in my various social media, social networking environments. Especially in situations where it's just not appropriate for me to pull out my phone, I'm in the middle of a conversation, I'm at dinner with friends. I don't have quite as many digital interruptions to what's happening right in front of me or right around me in my AFK life. I tend to wear my watches on the inside of my wrist, and this is a very important but subtle distinction for me because it provides me just that little bit of a barrier so I don't appear rude while I'm going through my digital notifications and phone updates. So when I feel the little pulse to my wrist, I know, okay, well, this is probably something important, but still, let me check the display before I pull out my phone and interrupt what's happening in front of me. So if we're in that situation, you and me, we're having a conversation, maybe it's over coffee or something like that, and I'm feeling these little pulses to my wrist, in the natural ebb and flow of a conversation, I can kick back, I can kind of guard, I can throw the wrist this way, and glance, catch what's happening on my wrist, and it's not as hard an interruption or as distracting an interruption to what's happening between you and me. You don't necessarily see that I'm sort of staring at my watch. It's the thing I don't like about wearing my watch on the top of my wrist. This gesture I still find to be extremely rude. If you know that I have a smartwatch, well then whenever I do this, I'm saying to you, the potential digital interaction which is happening on my phone and on my wrist right now is more important in this moment than the real world interaction that I was having with you just a moment ago. And if you don't know that this is a smartwatch, it's still equally as rude a gesture. Where the conversation that we're having right now, I'm kind of bored of it. I'm really seeing how long this has been going on or how much time of mine you're wasting. It's still a very impatient gesture. I find that for me personally, it just becomes sort of a more polite way to go about doing this, having this on the inside, and then doing sort of my guarding blocking gestures, or maybe I'm gesturing, I can kind of look down, because we don't lock eye contact when we talk to people the entire time that we're focused on them. We move around, we'll see, we'll kind of look, I'll be talking about something else, I'll have the opportunity to like gesture, I can kind of look down. This provides me that little bit of subtlety, and it doesn't require interruption, which means I'm still plugged in, I'm still interacting with my digital communities, but not to the expense of what's happening in my AFK IRL social situations. So while I've been really skeptical of smartwatches in the past, I am finding through using them for a while now that they are becoming that very important, that very crucial first step in a conversation about more organically interacting with our data and services. They're gonna help us start having that conversation about how we can better incorporate data into our daily lives without blocking our natural senses. And what's cool about watches is they definitely send a personal statement about your style and your aesthetic. So we should be able to start having some more reasonable conversations about form, function, aesthetics, and technology. So folks, those have been my experiences to date using smartwatches. I've been enjoying them a lot more than I thought I would, so I felt that that was important for me to share to you. Definitely raises my curiosity on future wearables like heads-up displays, and then where we might also be able to go with voice and data assistants like Google Now and Siri and Cortana, being able to feed information directly to our ears. Again, we're sort of cresting another renaissance of usability and ergonomics. If you've been using a smartwatch or some other form of wearable, definitely drop me some comments below. I wanna know what your experiences have been engaging in, sort of a tech wearable revolution. And I'm always happy to answer questions about these various products. I'm definitely gonna be doing follow-up reviews to my Pebble now that I've finally gotten the update to work on my phone without crashing the Pebble app and my watch. And I'm gonna be doing another follow-up with the Talk now that the SDK is out and we're starting to see the first apps arrive for the Talk 2, which is a really exciting time for any product as it starts getting a little more developer support. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching, for subscribing, sharing my videos. You guys have been awesome, and definitely getting into conversations and debates down in the comments. You have always been civil, and I've really appreciated the kind of discussion that we get into. I will catch you all on the next video.